That's a 10. That's a good one. Right.
Did he just say that's a 10? Like a PSA 10? That's funny. About his own signature. Okay, I'm not gonna watch the rest of this. Okay, there's a lot to dive into. Let's get into it. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Brian, Pokey Hey, thanks so much again for tuning into another episode of my journey of starting a Pokemon card business in 2025. Man, there is so much going on in the market. I did not expect so much of what has transpired over the past few months. And so it's exciting, but at the same time, it's nerve-wracking because, you know, you're trying to start something, you're trying to start it good, and there's so many things at play and so many variables that are kind of affecting the way that myself and many others are trying to start their Pokemon card or trading card businesses. And so want to dive into this week. One thing I want to just preface at the top of this video before I get all the rage comments. This is not going to be a political video. I am not an expert on the tariffs. I've done a little bit of research. I'm not an expert on political economics or any of that stuff. Not even an expert on economics or politics. So really, it's more of me just kind of high level covering already what a lot of people are talking about. And I'm going to talk less about what I feel about that stuff and more of just realities that are setting in for me and how I am going to pivot in spite of, or not in spite, in light of the recent announcements of the tariffs. Hey, if you're new to the channel here, thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Brian, again, Pokey and I started my journey of starting a Pokemon card business at the beginning of 2025 with the hopes of one day opening up my own storefronts. Of course, it's a very slow start. With my background, I am a full-time creative director. I oversee social media and production teams. In addition, I also own my own media agency on the side. So I do not do Pokemon cards full-time, but I understand a little bit about running a business and running teams. And so I wanted to take my passions and everything I love about trading cards and Pokemon cards, all that stuff, and Pokemon in general, and finally tried to pursue that dream of hopefully one day opening my own card shop. So this week I'm going to be talking a little bit about, one, it's about almost 3 months since I started my Pokemon card business. Where am I at? What am I going to do? High level thoughts and just reflecting back on the past 3 months. Hopefully it can bring some value to all of you who are maybe feeling this sort of uncertainty right now with what to do and what's happening. Again, I don't have the solutions or the answers to anything. I'm just going to share what I feel like I'm doing as a new seller in the space. There's just so much going on within the Pokemon community between different content creators, all of this stuff right now. And again, I'm going to try my best to ride this line of really staying in my own lane here and not trying to speak into or assume or do any of that stuff or give any kind of advice that I feel like could lead you astray. And so, yeah, if you're new here, thank you so much for tuning in. If you are returning and watching, thank you so much again for supporting my content and watching all of my videos and watching my journey. If you don't already, give me a follow on social media. I'm at Pokey on Instagram and on TikTok. Also, if you want to take the conversation further and learn how and learn with other people starting a Pokemon card business, check the show notes of this video. I've got a Discord channel that I started with over 100 members. We're in there trading, talking about collecting, talking about the best PSA plays, tag plays, everything from starting a Pokemon card business to collecting and everything in between. So if you want to dive in a little bit more, check out the Discord channel. Of course, on Instagram, hit me up. I have so many people that hit me up on Instagram. I'm so grateful for all of you who just say the kind words, the content, all that good stuff. So anyways, I won't get too much into all of the fluff, but let's get into this week's episode of what I'm going to do to pivot in this new market of Pokemon. Okay, so let me kind of hit, I'm going to kind of ramble a little bit because my thoughts are kind of all over the place with this whole subject. And so the first thing I want to hit are these things with the tariffs, because the tariffs, here's the truth. The truth is that there is going to just be an increased cost of goods coming into the US from any other country. Blanket statement, that's what it is. Now, I have heard, and people have been telling me, sending me videos or sending me notes on the workarounds. I'm not going to get into the workarounds. Do the research yourself. I'm sure the information is already getting around. I've shared it with a couple of friends who are in the space as well. And I said, hey, take my information, but do your own research and see what you could do to, work around all of these new laws getting put into place. And so that being said, for me, I am going to continue to figure out creative ways. And so, okay, first let me kind of start. So if you're new to the channel, and you don't really know my background or even my intent or my reasons why I wanted to start this business, one is to have my own storefront one day. But as I started to develop my brand, as I started to get in front of more people with my content, and as the Pokemon industry, I don't want to say industry, as the Pokemon card market has shifted drastically from January to now, from everything from lack of product, scams on social media platforms, to people fighting over product, to now this higher level of political economics now bleeding into the whole thing. Like this, it's one thing when you have a bull market of people wanting to buy, and I think I wasn't selling during the 2020 boom. Now you have this whole nother dynamic of economics playing into this trickle down that comes down to what we provide sometimes as Pokemon card sellers. And so from my point of view, I try again, like there's more people who are way more established than me and have a lot more experience and have been in this game longer, where this thing will affect them way more than it will affect me. Now, does it affect the way I scale my business? Of course, because I'm not at this point right now where I am, doing $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 purchases with vendors and distributors. Like that's not where I'm at. And so I feel like I can still figure out creative ways to still provide product to my customers. So kind of going back around, as I started this journey of starting a business, selling Pokemon cards, one of the things that I felt like was apparent was that there's a lot of other people trying to get into the game right now as well. One, we're in a bull market, everyone saw an opportunity. I didn't really follow the whole bull market trends before I started. I kind of just like, it's a new year, I'm just gonna start something, I'm gonna do it, and it just feels like the right time. Surging Sparks was crazy, and it was already hard to get product, but in my mind I was like, this is probably just a one-off because it's a Pikachu set and all that stuff. But so did not expect this bull market to kind of like explode the way it did. So what I tried to do with my business and my brand was I tried to shift the way that I made content to say, hey, I want to provide a solution to the current problem that's happening right now, which is lack of availability of product, or the lack of availability of product at a decent price. And so what's happened is, as I posted my content on social media, whether it be a much more like day in the lifestyle video or me collecting, every piece of content that I've created has created an open door for people to reach out and say, hey, I'm buying from you because I don't have access to products. Hey, I'm buying from you because I love your content. So I'll get into the whole content side and what I feel about that and how that will affect my brand down later in the video. But overall, I'm just kind of in a place right now where it's going into the new year. I had a very clear business plan of how I was going to scale. And that was, start by selling off a handful of stuff in my personal collection, build capital, put all the profit back in, and start getting into sealed. Because one thing I've noticed consistently with a lot of store owners, a lot of people who are digital store owners who are scaling their businesses, they get into sealed in one form or another. And so I was like, okay, it seems like the Japanese sealed was the way to go. Affordable, still great product, and an easy way, an entry point that was low risk to get into the Pokemon card business. And so did that, followed that plan, and tried to stay away from like the whole like hype of Journey Together and Prismatic and all that stuff, and just tried my best to provide a product when people needed it for the other sets that were available in the Japanese counterpart. So of course, as time has gone on, we've realized that the hype of the Western market has bled into the Eastern market of Japan. Prices have gone up there, prices go down, Pokemon Company print sets into the ground. It's all over the place. And so for me, I think overall, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to just keep a very close eye on what happens. Now, I have a lot of friends who are more financial advisors. They follow the political thing a little bit more. So I ask them, hey, with what I do, with what you're seeing in the market, I have a financial advisor who I ask questions about what he feels like, because he's kind of like a day trader kind of dude. And again, I'm not trying to like spread any kind of false news. This is just one perspective where basically everything and anything could change at any moment, right? Like, there's so much happening at play that normal people like us have no insight into or understanding, because this is just not our world. And so for me, yes, it's if anything we're going to do is I'm just going to keep a close eye on it. I'm going to play my chess pieces very strategically on what I invest into, what I buy, what I try to get for my clients. And at the end of the day, like I've said in previous videos, I'm not trying to be like the everything Pokemon guy for everyone. Like, I'm not going to be your Prismatic Evolutions plug or your English 151 plug. Like, I'm not going to be that person, because I can't provide it in a way that's actually sustainable for me in the long run. Like, for me, being the person that can get access to Prismatic Evolutions at 3x over market is not a sustainable business model for me. And so, nor do I want it to be, because I think that's just ridiculous and that's not my customer base. So with all of that, I will continue to be what I feel like my customer base needs me to be. And that is to be able to provide them some sort of product that they don't already have access to. Now, that's going to look very interesting over the coming weeks and months, because I will just have to pivot my model in the way I approach things and what I grind on. And just again, I'm keeping a close eye on everything. So it's not that I'm kind of giving up on Japanese Seal. It's not that I'm giving up on a certain way of how I did things. It's more of I'm pivoting, I'm editing as I go, because I knew at the beginning of this that the bull market in itself was going to be a crazy thing to navigate. And if I could make it through that, then hopefully I can make it through a bear market and a normal market. And so now all of these other dynamics are coming in. And I kind of mentioned this at the very beginning of some of my earlier videos, that business plans are kind of dumb, especially if you are a person who's just like, I can't deviate from this. If I deviate from this, everything is lost. And like, I've always said that it's like, there's so many dynamics that happen in life, whether it be the government, whether it be a hardship in finances or health or whatever. Like, all of those things are not variables in a business plan unless you build it in, which is great, good for you. But overall, I'm just going to continue to pivot and edit along the way. And again, like, figure out what I feel like people are looking for. I'm listening to my customers. I'm watching what they're buying. I'm watching what they're not buying. I'm asking them, and I'm going to be more intentional in the coming weeks to get in front of my buyers and my customers to be like, where are you at? Like, what's happening? How are you feeling in your wallet right now when it comes to Pokemon cards? And what are you doing different? And so I'm just going to be pivoting a little bit again. Like, the grind, like, again, the job is to sell Pokemon cards. But if I don't know what my customers are feeling, if I don't know what they're looking for, and I'm just going to be the guy that's going to continue just to supply Japanese sealed, then I'm not actually doing my job as a business owner. My job is to provide a solution for them, not a product for them, if that makes sense. And so with that, I've been doing a lot of experimenting of just other kinds of products. One, as you know, if you follow me on social media, I posted about an announcement that I'm going to have coming up that I'm really excited about to help continue to grow the Grail Vault Collections brand. And one, because I'm a very busy person, I have a lot of vision to grow this beyond me. and to grow it in a way that is, one, bringing other experts in or bringing other faces into the brand that I feel like, one, will help grow it, and one will bring in a facet to what I want this to grow into that I will never be able to bring. So one is my wife. My wife has been streaming on Whatnot underneath my account, and one, I feel like we share the same passions together. We both love Pokemon. We love this grind, and it's both of our businesses together, you know. And so she's been streaming a couple times. She loves it. So I'm not just kind of like using her to say, hey, you're a girl, can you go stream on Whatnot? Like, she actually genuinely loves to do it. She actually wants to stream more than I do sometimes. And one, she's gonna bring something to the brand I will never be able to bring. She's just gonna bring a fun, light, and kind of the pokey girly vibe to what the brand doesn't have right now. And because this is a very male-dominated industry. I mean, most of the people I talk to, most people I know are males. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I think for people like her, she's already a leader outside of all this stuff, that hoping one day that she can kind of have her own place and identity within the kind of Pokemon space of the business. And so bringing people on like her, one, it's a benefit because it grows the brand. It expands the diversity of what the brand means and what it represents. In addition, it doesn't burn me out. It doesn't burn me out of being the person that has to constantly be in front of the client base and all that good stuff. And so, in addition, the other person I will be revealing on social media, it may most likely by the time this is out there, the person will be already revealed. But the time of this video, we haven't revealed that person yet. But this person is going to bring an expertise and facet to the trading card hobby that is going to be separate from Pokemon. But again, when I named Girl Vault Collections, I named it intentionally to not be niched down to just Pokemon, because I love other card games besides that, and collectibles besides Pokemon. And so I've been talking to this person, we've been friends for a while, and he just brings a level of expertise to a different card game that I will never be able to bring, even though I really love that card game. So basically, with all of that, I'm working on creative ways to expand the Grail Vault Collections brand and what its offerings are, so that way I can reach more people without it all being on my shoulders and me burning out in the other day. So you'll be seeing a lot of those new things, newer faces on the platforms. If you're following me on different ones, make sure you do that again on Instagram and on TikTok. But Instagram is probably will be where we will. But Instagram is probably where we will be advertising a lot of those new changes most, just because the algorithm just works a little bit better over there than on TikTok for that kind of stuff, especially when it comes to like community building and all that. So just stay tuned. That's going to be a big kind of shift in what happens with the Grail Vault brand in the future. So also, I want to talk about Whatnot and what I feel about the platform Whatnot. And at first, I was very, very unsure about it. One, I've never really done streaming before, so I didn't know if it was going to be my thing. Two, there's a lot of scams, a lot of not so good people on the platform. So I was like, do I want my brand associated with that kind of notoriety of being like, of course, oh, you're another Whatnot streamer. Of course, like that's what every Pokemon brand or what every Pokemon seller does. And so I was very unsure about the platform. And so now that I've streamed about 6-ish times, again, it's not a lot, but it was enough for me to kind of test the waters to see, is this a viable tool or sales channel for me to use? And what I can say is I actually think it's going to be one of the most crucial aspects of the Grail Vault brand. And here's why. One, I don't care about, at this point now, about what the kind of like general feeling consensus is about Whatnot and streaming and rip and ship culture. Like, honestly, I'm kind of blocking out all that noise right now, because there's two things for me of the reason why I really want to double down on Whatnot. Not again as my main business model, but as one of the key things I'm going to do to continue to build the brand. One is because with my schedule and pace of life, vending shows every weekend is just going to, in the Seattle area, there's really only one or two big shows that you can kind of consistently vend at. And one of them being the Front Row. It's sold out the rest of the year for vendor tables. So it's going to be hard getting in. And two, it's kind of turned into like these more of like they usually just have the same people vending. Like it's kind of like their little family. And so getting in, it's kind of like you got to get in because someone, didn't want to vend, or maybe someone had an extra table. So that was going to be a big opportunity for me to kind of get in that space. And unless I get lucky and kind of make more connections, it's going to be hard for me to be able to vend that show. That's one. Second, there's another big card show that usually goes up and down the Washington State corridor. And same thing, vendor tables are always sold out. They have a huge backlog of people trying to get in. Even people I know who consistently vend at that show, they're like, yeah, it's hard to get a table. And so if you can get one, you got to kind of time it just right. So it's kind of turned out that even though I loved doing my first vending show, if I can get in, I'll get in and it'll be fun. And right now there are some like other conventions, like gaming conventions and all that stuff, but they are, with the way that everything's kind of lining up, it's just not going to make sense for me. And so I'm like, well, I need to figure out a way to, one, build a customer base, and two, I need to sell cards. And I've kind of pivoted with Whatnot to have that be my avenue of my vending. It's worked really well week over week, streaming once or twice a week. Sure, I get cooked on like cards that are higher value and people, swipe it up for like, 30, 40, 50% underneath market. But at the end of the day, this is how I look at it. If I did not do those Whatnot shows, I wouldn't have made that money. Now, it's great because my inventory is getting cleared. I need to go find more inventory, which is what I want. I want to be churning and burning. And I could have made the decision to say, no, I'm just going to wait, have my website up, and just wait for the customers to come to me. And guess what? That wasn't working. There were weeks where I was super discouraged because I was like, why aren't people buying from the site? Why I'm posting on social media? Why am I not getting consistent sales? And I realized, again, I'm still a smaller brand, a smaller business that nobody knows about or cares about yet. And so I had to figure out a way to go find those customers, and vending is helpful because you can create those relationships in person with people. But what I found with the power of Whatnot, and what I've been listening to with like social media experts and all of that, is that live selling, if you're not getting into live selling now, you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out on an opportunity where there's going to be a lot of people coming into the space. Right now, it's Whatnot has been around for a long time, like Drip Shop, all that, Drip Shop Live, all those have been around. But right now there is a boom happening with live selling. And so for me, I wish I could have gotten in sooner. I wish I could have started this whole thing sooner, but guess what? We're here, and it's too late to, I can't look back at what I could have done. Like right now in April 2025, I am just going to start doing it and get my foot in the door and do everything I can to create a presence on these platforms. And so for me, Whatnot, man, it's such a great platform. It's kind of like an eBay in a sense, where the marketing is good in the way that they present sellers, where they kind of give you a For You page of or a discover page of sellers to watch. And so I found new sellers and created, like, hey, I'm going to start buying from this person. I like their vibe. I like their approach. They're honest and all that stuff. So for me, it's kind of like I'm treating it like a digital vending show in a sense, which it is. Again, anything I'm saying is not new news. I'm just, again, sharing with you as someone who started 3 months in what I feel about the platform. And I feel like Whatnot is a great platform. And I feel like that if you are not actively figuring out ways to create a client base beyond just selling on eBay and TCG Player, Whatnot is going to be a great place for you to build your brand, talk with your audience, and make new customers. Like in the past 4 or 5 shows alone, I think between all of them, I've gained about, I would have probably an average between 10 to 15 new customers per show that I would not have if I did not stream on Whatnot. So what happens is I create relationships with them within the show. They buy from me. I push them to my socials. They follow me on social media. They get to see my life. They get to see more of who I am, not just the guy behind the phone. And they get to see, it's like, oh, this actually is a legit person. I'm going to follow them. And guess what? When they stream next, which is what's happening, I have multiple people who come back to my streams next time. So I'm creating repeat customers because I'm having my presence on a platform like Whatnot, regardless of what you feel like. Oh, I don't want to be in there because of the rip and shippers. Oh, I don't want to be there because you're kind of manipulating, you know, like how, you know, the kind of buyer remorse and the gambling aspects. And I'm like, you know what? Here's the thing. If the good thing about a Whatnot show is that you can control the narrative. You can control the narrative of how you want your customers to interact with your brand. For example, for me, I don't run any of my high-end stuff. Like I'm very much a person who likes to go to a show. I like to look at the condition of the card, ask them, barter a little bit on the card, all that stuff. And in my shows, I usually have claims on my higher end cards. So say, hey, you want this card? Let me know if you want to see it. It's near mint condition. Here's market price. This is what I'm charging. And they want to see it, they can see it. They want to make an offer, they can make an offer, and so forth. In addition, when I'm running more of like a run of dollar start singles, we do our best to say, hey, this is moderately played. I know this is vintage. I know this is like a hot, you know, a shadowless. Like we had one time where it was a shadowless base set Machamp. And we said, hey, this thing is heavily played, okay? We're not like bid responsibly. Don't just jump in the hype because it's a first edition base set, and all the Machamps are first edition anyways, but people wanted it for some reason. So, but we let them know. We say, hey, you know what, bid responsibly on this. This is not full condition. I'm not trying to make money off you just because I can. We're trying our best to be responsible and inform our customers of the product we're offering them. And so overall, I'm a big advocate for Whatnot, now doing it for 6 shows. And I'm looking forward to utilizing within the brand more so in the future. So if you are a person trying to figure out what's my next play, and I need to sell cards because I can't sell Japanese anymore, I would highly consider, you don't even have to do a blast of 150 singles like most shows. Just like go in there and just start streaming and have some cards out. And if you sell stuff, great. If you don't, guess what? You got FaceTime with new buyers. You got FaceTime with potential new customers, and you also would have the potential to actually make some money. So you don't have to use the platform the way the other scummy sellers are doing it. You can actually use it in a way that's honest, that's transparent, and that will bring value to your customer base and value to your brand. So anyways, that's my soapbox on Whatnot. Get on there if you're not. I'm advocating for it in this season right now until something else happens. Otherwise, that's going to be a very viable stream of sales for Girl Ball collections in the future. I'm very, very excited about it. Okay, so let's dive into where I'm at. I'm about 3 months in. I've kind of shared my high-level thoughts of where I feel like all of this stuff with the Pokemon card industry and market is going, and I'm like, I like the challenge. I like the challenge of being able to change things up, and it's been honestly one of the most funnest grinds I've ever done. And the opportunities I've been able to have with holding cards that I would not be able to hold before, or meet people I would never be able to meet before. Like, it's been such an invaluable experience for me. And so I'm going to continue to keep doing this, and I'm just going to continue to pivot and edit along the way. And so with that being said, we're almost 3 months in. It'll be about 3 months here in like the next 1 or 2 weeks, but I've made in about 3 months around 10 grand in revenue sales, with an average of I would say probably a 15% profit margin. So off of that $10,000, you know, whatever, do the math, like $1,200 or $1,300 in profit. So right now, all of the profit is going straight back into the business. Maybe every once in a while, maybe I'll buy myself a card for my PC. But in a later video, I'm going to kind of like run down like what are my actual overhead expenses, how much of that is, you know, going back in. Obviously, one of the things I'm trying to do with this, I'm trying to learn how to scale it. And so, for example, as I have more people streaming underneath the brand, depending on what it is, like I'd like to be able to cut them a commission. Really, at the end of the day, it's I'm saying all of this not as a like, this is what I'm doing. It's more of me just kind of brainstorming and kind of figuring out what I should do in order to, you know, continue to make money off of everything that's, you know, the constant changes that's happening. So I'm about $10,000 in. Most all of my sales are now through my website or whatnot, and I do a handful of just like small, sales here on Instagram. But usually what I do is if I do a claim sale on my social media, I'll create a product for them on my website so that way they can buy through my website. One, it just helps me keep a record of what I'm selling, and two, it's nice just have a central platform where all that goes through. And so I have that. Sometimes people just Venmo me, which is great. But overall, I'm around $10,000-ish of revenue sales, which is amazing. And so I'm still trying to hit that hopefully $100,000 goal. Who knows? I mean, everything's pivoted so much to where I may have to adjust that. One thing I'm going to be doing again with my business model, including whatnot, is doing a heavy play shift into singles and slabs, which I kind of already been doing. It's just more of, instead of spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on sealed products, I'm going to focus that into graded plays and buying out more collections and all that stuff as I'm learning what my customers are looking for. And so, yeah, those are some of the business updates of where the business is at right now and what I'm going to be currently trying to do to pivot in this current market. Overall, when it comes to continuing to build your brand and how you're going to survive. Survive is not the right word. I would say how you're going to not burn out, even, I think could be the right word. Like, I feel like you could figure out the grind of trying to provide a product to somebody. And you could do that, and you could be like, where can I get it cheap? How can I find the workarounds? All of this stuff. And right now, I'm learning a lot by some of my buyers and customers of what they're looking for and what they want. And more importantly, what I'm going to be focusing on is listening to where the consumers are, where the client base is, like I said. And I'm going to continue to make content. I'm going to continue to put myself out there. I'm going to continue to, in the midst of an uncertainty of availability of product, in the midst of the uncertainty of what political economics play into all of it, I'm going to continue to put myself out there as a Pokemon card seller, collector, Brian, whatever you want to call me. And that has been the most invaluable parts of me not being affected by all the things around me. Like MJ Holdings drama doesn't affect me because guess what? Like, I'm not providing a product to people that's being affected by stuff that's out of my control. Like, I know what's in my control, so guess what now? The tariffs are out of my control. The Japanese seal is out of my control. The prices are out of my control. So I'm going to pivot to something that is in my control. And that is going to be through me, like I said, finding collections, finding singles, slabs, all that stuff, and getting very creative and very intentional about understanding what my client base is looking for, provide for them, be the plug that they need me to be for them, so that way I can continue to build the brand on that and not just a Pokemon card store randomly in the Seattle area that nobody cares about. So again, these are just all high-level thoughts. I'm kind of spitting them out as I go too, but those are just things I'm going to be doing and thinking about over the coming months, is just watching closely what people are doing and understanding just buyer behavior and seeing what happens in the market, listening to the experts or people who have been doing this a long time, and just, again, like taking those notes from people who know how to build social media brands, because that is such a key thing about this whole thing, this whole business. Is I follow a lot of sellers on social media. And every so once in a while, out of all those sellers, there's only like a small handful of them that I actually see and know about and know what they're selling, because they're constantly making content, even though I follow a lot of them. But because I'm not seeing them, I almost forget about them. And I forget that they provide a product. And so what I'm trying to do is figure out a way to continuously be in front of people. The algorithms work in a way to where it's if you're not constantly putting yourself and your brand in front of people, you're going to get forgotten about. And so I'm trying my best to figure out a way to show people I'm here. Hey world, I'm here. I'm a normal dude. I sell Pokemon cards. buy from me because I'll give you a good deal. And so, yeah, anyways, that's kind of what I'm doing for the business. A little bit more of a chiller tone this time around. I don't have a lot of words of wisdom. I'm just kind of like spitballing everything I feel like it's been on my mind over the past few weeks. And so I want to thank you again for jumping into this week's episode. Hopefully I can get a little more back on track with weekly uploads. But right now, I'm just kind of like, I actually filmed a video earlier this week and I was like so tired. I can tell that I was just trying to say stuff for the sake of saying stuff. I'm like, I'm not putting this crap out. And so I wanted to wait until I actually felt like I had something to talk about versus just trying to come up with it on a whim. And so, yeah, I wanted to thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Again, if you have any questions, if you want to take the conversation further, go give me a follow on Instagram. Go check out the Discord channel in the show notes of this video. Otherwise, stay safe, have fun, happy collecting, and I'll see you in the next one.